to my YouTube channel, 90% Native. My name is Michelle and I garden in Northern Virginia in Zone 7A. Today I am sowing the herbs that I'm going to use this spring and summer, and also a few flowers for my cutting garden. I'll go through each one of the herbs and flowers that I sow and let you know the conditions under which they need to be planted and a little bit about the plant themselves. I'm using a few different seed flats to sow my seeds today. First up, I have my Bootstrap Farmer flood trays and 6-cell seed flats. Super heavy duty plastic that you can use over and over and over again. I'm also using a seed flat that I got for Christmas from my mom from Gardener Supply. This is metal. And then I have a couple strawberry containers that I'm going to use for onions and also for a native called Marsh St. John's wort. I didn't have much success sowing it last year, so I'm going to try and sow it this year under a little bit more of a controlled condition. So I'll be sowing these in the strawberry flat and leaving them indoors to germinate to see what happens there, because all my other Hypericum variety natives do not need a cold stratification period. So I'm going to go ahead and sow these and see if I can get them germinating downstairs. First up is Broadleaf Sage. This is a strong, unique flavor and aroma, enhances many dishes. Gray-green foliage makes it a striking ornamental in borders and rock gardens too. So I'm growing this for culinary purposes, but I'm also going to grow this and in some areas where I have sunny, dry conditions, I might pop some of these in there as well, because I'm hoping that perhaps the scent will deter deer from browsing any of maybe the natives in the area. The recommended planting instructions are 6 to 8 weeks before your average last frost date. My last frost date is April 18th, so I'm going to be doing these early. I was actually following someone else on YouTube, and I'll try and remember to put her information down below, but I think it was Faith Farm Homestead. I'll double check that. She sowed her herbs really early, so I want to go ahead and try and get a jump on the herbs as well, because there was another year where I sowed my herbs and they just never got that big, and I think it was because I did it too late. So these are to be planted 1/4 inch deep and a group of 3 seeds every 12 to 18 inches. So I will just plan on putting 3 seeds in each one of these cells. And my seed packet comes from Botanical Interests. If anybody has any good recipes where sage is featured, I'm going to ask the same question for every single one of the herbs I sow, but if you have any great recipes where sage is a featured item, I'd love to hear about those recipes in the comments. Oh, there's only a few seeds in there. I have a little pencil I use. It's kind of like a little dibbler to put my seeds in. Just gonna make a very small indentation so that we're only sowing these at 1/4 inch. And I'm going to get 3 seeds per cell. Next up, I have Cilantro Coriander. This is more of like a cool season crop. Popular, easy to grow annual whose pleasantly aromatic and flavorful seeds are used in potpourri and to flavor many culinary dishes. All parts of the plant are edible, but the leaves and the dried seeds are the most traditionally used in cooking. I planted some of these in the fall. I didn't have much luck because I just, I wasn't doing it properly. They I believe, don't quote me on this. Why did I just dump all those out? Yeah, okay. I tried to do some of these in the fall. We have really hot fall, so I didn't have much luck, and I think it's because I didn't allow the plants to germinate and grow up a little bit in cool soil, if I'm not mistaken. So planting depth is 1/2 inch, spacing 1 inch, days to maturity is 70. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to put 3 seeds in each one of these cells, and I'm going to push the cell the hole down a little bit further because these are to be planted a 1/2 inch, not a 1/4 inch. And it's not an exact science of what I'm doing here. I'm literally just doing this kind of by feel. Okay, and then 3 in each cell. Some people would sow just 1 seed in each cell. I don't do that. I sow kind of heavy. What I'll do is if I actually have extra, then if I can separate them, I do, and I make more plant, or I just choose the strongest. Next up, I have 3 different types of dill. There's only one recipe I use dill for, and that's for a cream cheese baked in pastry dough with dill on the top of it, dry dill on the top of it. A lot of times I'm planting dill for the swallowtail butterflies. 3 different types. I have Leafy Diana, I have Ducat Leafy Dill, and then I have Bouquet Dill. So first up is the Leafy Diana. It's an heirloom dill. To start indoors, sow dill thinly in individual pots of seed, starting cover 1/4 of an inch deep, and keep moist as seedlings emerge. And this dill says blue-green leaves for salads, seeds for cooking or pickling, and blossoms that bring the butterflies. This is an all-purpose herb, if I have to say so. Okay. So 1/4 of an inch dip deep, so we're gonna go back to a little bit smaller than the cilantro. And remember, if any of you guys have great recipes that really make these herbs shine, I'd love to hear them. Okay, next up I have Ducat Leafy Dill. This is our especially sweet and mellow lasting variety chosen for flavor and vigor. These guys are gonna get 1 to 2 feet tall. Planting depth is 1/4 of an inch, and they need full sun. Let some plants bloom to give nectars to butterflies, and then harvest the pungent seeds to season pickles. Oh, that would be fantastic because I got those bread and butter pickles that I hope to pickle. Okay, so Ducat Leafy Dill. Next up is dill, and this is the bouquet variety. Cut sprigs of delicious feathery leaves to enhance summer veggies, salads, soups, and main dishes. This is the best variety for fragrant seed heads to use in pickles. Let some plants bloom to attract butterflies. So this plant, if I haven't already mentioned this, the dill is a host plant for the swallowtail butterflies. So I will be absolutely happy if the swallowtails come and lay their eggs, and a lot of these get eaten up. That's fine. I'm sure there'll be plenty left for me. So we're supposed to sow in a sunny spot with good drainage in the spring and early fall. Can also be started 2 to 3 weeks before planting outdoors. Well, we're gonna just roll with it, okay? Nothing we can do. I got this all set up. Oh, what's the planting depth? Does it say? It doesn't say the planting depth, so I'm just gonna do 1/4 of an inch like I did the other dill. Next up is the winter time, which I talked about in my seed haul. There's winter time, the herb, and then there's summer time, the herb. I didn't do extensive research on it, but what I did was winter time is more cold hardy and from a different place in Europe. Let's see, this is gonna go an eighth of an inch deep. An attractive hardy plant with tiny green leaves, woody stems, and masses of purple flowers in the late spring. Its distinctive flavor is prized for seasoning, meats, vinegars, and vegetables. Blossoms attract the bees. And I did buy this more for attracting the bees than anything else. So if anybody knows specifics on using cooking with or planting, differences between summer time and winter time, then please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know from somebody a little more experienced than I am with herbs. Okay, so we're barely covering this one. So I think I'll just rough up the soil a teeny bit, just very little. And I might, I'm probably gonna cover everything with vermiculite. I think I'm gonna sow these a little heavier than maybe they recommend, because when the last time that I planted thyme, or was it basil? I don't know. Anyway, when I planted the herbs the last time, I made sure to thin them and keep the strongest one and all this kind of stuff. And then when I went to the grocery store and saw the starts in the gardening section, they all had like so many sprouts in them. And I just had this one little sprout, so I'm thinking that maybe I should just sow heavy. I mean, if it's a problem, I can just, you know, thin them out. Next up is blue borage. They say that you can use the flowers to put into salads, and it has a cucumbery taste, which I'd love to try. I think you can also freeze them, but I definitely like in ice cubes to make pretty ice cubes, but I need to double check on that. And these are really great for bees and pollinators. They just absolutely love borage. Borage will get 2 to 2.5 feet tall. They can take sun or part shade. One of the easiest flowering herbs to grow. 2 to 3 feet tall, borage has clusters of sky blue little starry flowers and silvery green leaves that add contrast to other garden plants. These are to be sown 1/4 inch deep. These are to be sown 1/4 inch deep. Next up is common oregano. Use this mild flavored oregano in pizza sauce, pastas, and salsa. Dainty pink blooms add to its beauty. Also used as a dried cut flower. Love the multi-use. This is full sun. The recommended sowing is indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your average last frost. And we are going to sow these in 1/8 to 1/4 inch deep. Leaves can be used fresh or dried. These pretty pink to lavender flowers appear from midsummer to fall, perennial in USD zones 5 and warmer, fairly drought tolerant, and deer resistant. I planted these last year. They were really pretty and they smelled beautiful. Next up is Marjoram. So this is another oregano variety. Annual full sun heirloom with a sweeter, milder flavor than oregano. Marjoram is wonderful used fresh in salads and cooked dishes, excellent dried. And this is we're just going to press the seeds into the surface, and the recommended time to sow is inside 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost date. Next up is lemon balm. I grow this every year and I put it on pots on my deck, just hoping that it's actually keeping the mosquitoes away. But I know you can use it in iced tea and things like that. So this is a perennial, full sun to part shade. Relax on a hot summer day with a glass of iced lemon balm tea from the gardens. The plant's delightful scent wafts through the air. I need some more light, I can't say anything. Used by herbalists for insomnia and to soothe upset stomachs. Add to tea, used as a cooking herb to impart lemony flavor, or enjoy its aromatherapeutic qualities in a relaxing bath. You know, the things you learn when you actually read the seed packets. Okay. I don't think that you want to plant this in your gardens directly. I think you want to always put this in pots because if I'm not mistaken, it's very aggressive and you probably don't want to get it out there like that. Okay, so we're going to press this into the soil. Next up is German chamomile. This year I really am going to harvest this. Last year I planted it, I didn't harvest it. So it's an heirloom. Lovely apple-scented flowers for soothing teas, potpourris, and dried flower arrangements. An easy to grow staple in any herb garden and terrific cut flower. They are beautiful. Okay, so these are going to surface sow. It's recommended to sow them outside. Okay, so last year I did fall plant these, so we'll see what happens because we're gonna do it inside. Or light aids in the germination. Some seeds need light to germinate. A lot of times it's the really small ones. What could be more soothing than curling up at bedtime with a good book and a cup of calming chamomile tea made fresh from your garden? The flowers can also be dried for floral arrangements, pressed for crafts, or woven into charming wreaths, and their edible petals can be tossed into salads. Chamomile is fairly drought tolerant and attracts beneficial insects and pollinators. Deer resistant, That is key for me. What I was thinking is I'm gonna do a deer resistant garden outside of the cutting garden to the side. I'm going to put grow bags of some of these aromatic herbs around everything just in case the deer try and browse on my plants. Okay. Heavily sown, like always. What does it say about that? A pinch of seeds every 8 inches. Okay, so this is a pinch of seeds. And last, but certainly not least, and I will probably do well more than just the 6 cells of this, but it's sacred basil, holy basil, Tulsi basil. It smells so good. I don't think it's really for eating that much. I think it's more medicinal, but I could be wrong. Sets itself apart from culinary basil due to its pungent aroma and volatile oil content used in many medicinal treatments. More compact than traditional basil with textured leaves. Basil is a tender annual that prefers full sun, rich, moist soils. Direct seed. Okay, well, we're not gonna direct seed. We're gonna do it now. Pinch terminal buds to encourage branching. I don't know if I did that last year. Okay, these are going to be 1/4 of an inch deep. The height's going to be 12 inches. What else do you need to know? All I can say, this isn't it for the holy basil. We're going to do a lot more holy basil because it is just, the smell is so amazing. Okay, so that's it for this flat. I'm so excited about all these herbs for this year and just really getting to know them a lot better for cooking, maybe for medicinal uses or aromatherapy, skincare. Really looking forward to all these. So I'm gonna put these up and then I'm going to move on to my next flat.